Welcome to Ancient Edge, where we excavate the forgotten ingenuity of those who came before us. Today we journey into colonial America, not to witness grand battles or political revolutions, but to uncover a different kind of warfare, one waged in silence, in darkness, beneath the floorboards of every settler's home. Imagine crossing an ocean to build a new life, felling towering pines to construct your family's shelter, only to discover that your dream is being devoured from within by an enemy you cannot see. This was the grim reality for early American colonists who faced a relentless adversary more destructive than storms or hostile encounters, the termite. What unfolds is a remarkable story of adaptation, indigenous wisdom, and desperate innovation that transformed vulnerable timber into fortified bastions against invisible destroyers. When European settlers first arrived on American shores, they encountered forests unlike anything they had known. Towering softwoods, pine, spruce, and fir stretched endlessly, promising abundant building material that was easy to fell, shape, and construct. But this bounty concealed a terrible cost. The very characteristics that made softwood attractive to builders made it irresistible to termites. Unlike the hardwood and stone construction common in Europe, where termite pressure was minimal or manageable, colonial America presented an insect population thriving in warm, humid conditions with unlimited food sources. For many settlers, particularly those arriving from northern Europe, termites existed only in travelers' tales. Now they faced swarms capable of reducing a structural beam to hollow shell in mere seasons. This wasn't simply about property damage or inconvenience. In a landscape where survival depended on shelter from brutal winters, protection from wildlife, and storage of precious food supplies, a compromised structure could mean death. Families watched helplessly as walls weakened, floors sagged, and roofs threatened collapse. The stakes were existential. To establish permanence in the New World, colonists had to win this hidden war, and they would need knowledge that Europe had never taught them. Long before European ships touched American soil, indigenous peoples had developed sophisticated understanding of wood preservation. Native American communities across the eastern woodlands had constructed longhouses, palisades, and storage structures that endured for generations despite termite presence. Their knowledge, accumulated over millennia, became the colonists' lifeline, though often unacknowledged in historical records. Indigenous builders recognized that certain woods possessed natural defenses. Cedar, with its aromatic oils containing compounds toxic to insects, became prized for construction. The Powhatan and other Algonquian peoples used cedar posts for palisade walls, knowing these would outlast pine by decades. Red cedar heartwood, dark and fragrant, contained thujaplicin and other natural pesticides that made feeding on it fatal or, repellent to termites. Sassafras, another indigenous favorite, offered similar protection through its volatile oils. Archaeological evidence from Native American sites reveals post holes lined with carefully selected resistant species, demonstrating intentional material choice based on deep ecological understanding. Beyond wood selection, indigenous peoples employed architectural strategies that colonists would gradually adopt. Structures were elevated on stone platforms or set on locust wood posts known for exceptional rot resistance. This kept timber away from soil moisture and created barriers termites struggled to cross. Some tribes treated vulnerable wood with mixtures containing bear fat, charcoal, and plant resins, creating protective coatings that sealed wood surfaces while adding chemical deterrents. The practice of thoroughly charring post bottoms before setting them in earth appears in both indigenous and later colonial construction, suggesting direct knowledge transfer or parallel discovery born of observation. European settlers arrived with centuries of building tradition, yet their expertise proved, honestly, dangerously inadequate. English timber frame construction, designed for oak and elm, assumed pest pressures far lighter than American reality. Initial colonial structures, built with familiar techniques but unfamiliar materials, failed catastrophically. Desperate adaptation became necessary. The first successful European responses combined imported knowledge with New World materials. Builders began selecting heartwood exclusively, recognizing that the dense, darker interior of trees resisted attack far better than pale sapwood. They sought out old-growth longleaf pine, whose resin-rich heartwood had sustained southern trees through centuries. White oak, reminiscent of European species but with superior American durability, became the gold standard for sills and foundation timbers. Archaeological investigations of surviving colonial structures reveal that the longest-lasting examples employed heartwood almost exclusively, often from trees over a century old when felled. Colonial craftsmen also rediscovered wood preservation techniques known to ancient shipbuilders. Pine tar, produced by slow-burning pine wood in earthen kilns, yielded thick, sticky resin perfect for coating vulnerable surfaces. Applied hot to foundation timbers, tar created an aromatic, water-resistant barrier that termites found nearly impossible to penetrate. Pitch, a harder derivative of tar, served similar purposes. Excavations at Jamestown and Plymouth reveal evidence of tar production facilities, suggesting how central this practice became to colonial survival. The pungent smell of tar-coated timber became synonymous with colonial construction, a defensive odor declaring war on invisible invaders. Beyond architectural defense, colonists developed chemical warfare using materials at hand. Lime, produced by burning limestone or oyster shells, became a multi-purpose weapon. Mixed with water into whitewash, lime was painted onto wood surfaces, creating an alkaline environment hostile to both termites and wood-rotting fungi. The high pH disrupted insect digestion and deterred egg-laying. Lime's effectiveness was accidental chemistry. Colonists knew it worked without understanding the biochemical mechanisms, but it worked nonetheless. Archaeological analysis of colonial plaster reveals lime concentrations far higher than structural necessity demanded, suggesting deliberate over-application for pest control. Wood ash, another alkaline substance readily available from cooking fires, was mixed with animal fats to create protective pastes. These concoctions, spread on foundation timbers and floor joists, combined moisture barrier properties with chemical repellency. The fatty acids in rendered bear grease or pork lard filled wood pores while ash provided alkaline protection. Though these treatments required regular reapplication and made structures somewhat odorous, they represented sophisticated use of available materials. Some colonial journals mention adding crushed herbs, pennyroyal, tansy or wormwood to these mixtures, presumably for additional insecticidal properties, though efficacy varied widely. Perhaps most ingenious were the structural monitoring systems colonists developed. Knowing that prevention was impossible, they designed buildings for early detection and easy repair. Foundation timbers rested on stone sleepers that could be individually inspected and replaced without dismantling entire structures. Crawl spaces remained accessible, and colonists performed seasonal inspections with remarkable diligence. This wasn't passive defense but active surveillance, treating termite management as ongoing labor rather than a one-time solution. The colonial battle against termites left lessons that echo into our present. As modern construction grapples with toxic chemical treatments and their environmental costs, the natural strategies of early Americans offer surprising relevance. Barat treatments used today echo colonial lime applications. Modern building codes, mandating foundation ventilation and wood-to-soil separation, derive directly from principles colonists learned through bitter experience. The current revival of naturally durable woods like cedar and locust in eco-conscious construction represents rediscovery of ancient wisdom. Those who successfully protected their homes weren't those with the most resources, but those willing to learn, adapt, and respect the knowledge embedded in their new landscape. Colonial America's termite defenses teach us that survival often requires humbling ourselves before nature's lessons, combining traditional wisdom with innovative adaptation. The hidden war beneath colonial floorboards was won not through domination, but through understanding, recognizing that the strongest defense comes from working with natural principles rather than against them. If you found these forgotten strategies as fascinating as we did, subscribe to Ancient Edge and join us as we continue unearthing the practical genius of our ancestors. Share this video with anyone passionate about sustainable building, natural pest control, or the untold stories of colonial survival. The past holds solutions we desperately need today. Let's keep digging them up together.